My name's Katy Hessel. I'm here at Charleston today to explore two exhibitions of brilliant artists working 100 years apart, Nina Hamnett and Lisa Brice. Right now, I'm standing in the galleries of Nina Hamnett. Nina Hamnett was one of the greatest contributors to British modernism. She was born in 1890. She lived into the 1950s and was an avid contributor to the Bloomsbury Group, to the School of Paris, the Camden Town groups, through her portraits and her still lives. In her autobiography, Nina Hamnett wrote, "On the 14th of February, 1890, I was born, and everyone was furious." Nina Hamnett was born in Tenby in Wales to quite a conventional family, and I think everyone was furious because she had been born a girl. Because in Victorian Britain, being a girl was not desirable because you could not have the same advantages as your male counterparts. But in 1907, Nina Hamnett arrived in London and she enrolled in the London School of Art. And it was here that she said was paradise, studying with people like William Nicholson. This opportunity opened her eyes to the world of British modernism. This was the height of British avant-garde. And just years later, she would join the Omega Workshop, which was run at the time by Roger Fry, where she would meet people like Vanessa Bell, and they would design textiles to children's toys to wallpaper, all sorts of different things. But alongside this, she was also creating her expressive, psychologically charged portraits and also still lives. In 1912, Nina Hamnett visited Paris for the first time, and this was totally the height of the avant-garde. She would have been surrounded by artists, writers, models, everyone. She moved to a place called Montparnasse, which was where all the artists were, and it was here where she would befriend people like Gertrude Stein, the ultimate collector of French modernism, Picasso, Modigliani, Ossip Zadkine, who she actually painted in such a fantastic portrait. And I love this portrait because you see his very kind of iconic cropped hair. And actually, he also cut Nina's hair to be like that. And she was always known for this very kind of androgynous look. Her look is always so striking. One of my favourite portraits is of Lady Constance Stewart Richardson. She painted her quite conventionally. There's also kind of a sadness to her as well. And it was these psychologically charged portraits that allow us to actually get to know the people who shaped that culture in Paris, that culture that was so impactful that it still resonates with artists today. Behind me are an assortment of portraits of men by Nina Hamnett, and I love these portraits because of their variety. And I love the fact that they're people of all different professions, all different ages, all different relations to her. And she's painting that encounter. We have the 14-year-old James Hepburn from 1922, who was the son of the feminist poet Anna Wickham. And this portrait was painted, we think, maybe after his younger brother had died of scarlet fever. And you can sense that kind of melancholic atmosphere in the portrait. And then you have someone like Rupert Dune, which was one of my favourite portraits, who was the dancer and choreographer. He would star in the likes of Jean Cocteau's Romeo and Juliet. And you can tell that she's really focusing on his charm, his charisma. She's looking at his dance-like body. You can even sense that he's a dancer through his elongated features. I love the fact that his lips are so perfect with that rosy red. Behind me is one of, I think, the most striking portraits in this entire exhibition. It's of the Landlady from 1917, and there's so much tension in it. Unlike the other portraits, which almost seem quite kind, this one feels tense. You can tell that there is some kind of fraught relationship between Hamnett and the Landlady because of the way that she's looking directly at us with her dark brown eyes and her kind of pursed, tense lips, and their exaggerations on her frown lines and her under eyes as well. There's so much expression there. We look at works such as Reclining Man, and you can really see this sort of intimate conversation with Hamlet and him. But here, I feel like there's not that so much. I love this portrait of Nina Hamnett by Roger Fry, made when she was around 27 years old in 1917. And it's fantastic. You really see this sense of ambition in her eyes. This fantastic dress, which was actually designed by Vanessa Bell, with whom she worked with at the Omega Workshop. Same with this fantastic cushion in the corner as well. So this painting doesn't just reveal who she was. For me, it also tells me about the life that she lived, not only with her relationship with Roger Fry, but the circles she ran into. And as if to bring that conversation of women so often perceived as marvels, models and muses to life and to date, we then enter into the galleries of works by Lisa Brice, who is a master at interrogating the male gaze. a master at subverting the power dynamics between artist and model and giving women who have so often been perceived as passive, as silent from art history, a platform to stand up on their own terms. Lisa Brice is one of the most exciting contemporary artists working today. She was born in South Africa, she's lived between Trinidad and London for the past 20 years, and her works are all about repurposing and reincarnating women on their terms. In the works behind me, they're all drenched in this fantastic kind of cobalt blue, Prussian blue and ultramarine blue. Lisa Brice likes to set her works in what she calls the gloaming hour, where day become night, and I like to think of that as kind of women ruling that time. They feel like they're almost in conversation with each other. Women have always historically existed for the pleasure of our eye, and what Lisa Brice is doing is she's saying that no, they actually don't. Women are existing on their terms, the way that they want to be seen. But among the more direct references on this side of the exhibition, we see Lisa Brice actually reincarnating Nina Hamnett's work for a today audience. So for example, this work here in Gaudia Breschke's beautiful nude sculpture of her body, what she's done here is the nude sculpture is in the distance, but she's almost put Nina in the front of her work as if to say, I'm a person, I'm an artist before I'm a model. What we see here is Nina Hamnett and also Winifred Gill, and they both worked at the Omega workshop together, making textiles, wallpapers, designs, cushions, everything, which also brings Lisa's work in such beautiful conversation with the space that we're in right now. And then actually this work is based on Helen Frankenthaler. Again, re-immortalizing that woman artist who has been so often overshadowed by her male counterparts. And what we see here is Helen Frankenthaler actually resting on a canvas. We can see these canvas stretchers with a cigarette in mouth saying, you know, I don't care, I can take on these giant works. I'm a woman, I can do whatever I want. But perhaps the most significant work in this whole suite is this one here, which is based on a photograph of a now lost self-portrait that Nina Hamnett painted of herself. She wants to be remembered as, in her words, a deadly serious artist, and this is what she brings to it, this empowered stance, this hand on her hip, her head tilted up to us, saying, I own the canvas. And what Lisa Brice has done is she has reincarnated her as the woman that she wanted to be remembered as. This exhibition allows us a rare chance to see work by Nina Hamnett and Lisa Brice together. Despite working a century apart, these women were vital contributors to their time. They both capture the spirit of their age and they connect the dots between women in art history. But they also, most importantly, bring together the historical into the contemporary. So I urge you all to visit these two fantastic exhibitions, which will be on view here in Charleston, East Sussex, until the 30th of August.